Fed up of hanging around in the workshop when you can be out in the fresh air, enjoying the lovely winter weather? Well, you can do your workshop tasks outside with this inverter that will pretty much run most sort of workshop tools that you need. We found it will run pretty much everything bar a 9-inch grinder flat out. But we're just going to have a go with it, see whether we can drill through a bit of steel whilst boiling a kettle. Two essential tasks to be completed simultaneously, obviously. Basically, it's an inverter that takes 12-volt feed from the battery that leads snake round under the passenger seat here to the battery compartment. And then it's got two 40-volt sockets on here, 13 amp, two 40-volt sockets. And well, judging by the name, it'll pump out 2,100 watts. And a little digital display here on the side tells you how much it's pumping out. So if we plug in the kettle and turn it on, we can see it's drawing, well, quite a lot actually. The kettle's drawing 1,740 watts. So with the kettle running, we'll now try and use the drill at the same time and see if the inverter will run both. Seems to be going all right. Maybe not. Okay, so we've reset the inverter, and we'll give it another go. Nah, it definitely doesn't like running both. Right, we'll switch the kettle off and try just with the drill. You can actually hear the engine note drop every time the kettle or the drill kick in. Well, we've gone straight through that piece of 3mm plate, and actually the engine and the inverter aren't working nearly as hard with the drill as they are with the kettle. But 2 minutes later, we've got hot water for a cup of tea and our piece of steel drilled out. Ideal. In here, we've got a set of 6 bimetal hole saws, which are, you can buy them for any price. These are Bosch ones, and they're pretty, as you'd expect for Bosch, they're pretty expensive. You can pick them up on the internet for around 45, 50 quid, or their actual list price is nearer 80 quid. So they go together something like that. And they'll cut pretty much anything. Brilliant for sheet steel, but they do give your drill a bit of grief. So it's best to go easy on the drill, keep it slow, and yeah, not push it too hard. With these, the best thing to do initially is drill out a pilot hole just to scuff the surface of the metal, and then drill smaller holes around the circumference of that to clear the swarf. Usually when fitting a bearing, a socket is required to knock the shell into place. For around 30 quid, you can buy a bearing fitting kit that makes the job a whole lot easier and pushes it in nice and straight. The same thing can also be used for refitting seals. While it's not unusual to have a multimeter on the farm, of course, it's this machine's a bit different in that it's an auto-ranging multimeter. So unlike this older one, where you had to select exactly what range of voltage you wanted to use, or ampage, or resistance, this one, you just set it to whatever you want to measure, so temperature, resistance, voltage, AC or voltage DC, and it will sense what sort of range it wants to be testing in. as an example, a really useful thing that multimeters can do is test whether electrical components still work or not. And here we've just got a exhaust temperature sensor, and to measure it, whether or not it's working or not, we can just set the multimeter up to read resistance, and then just we'll just clamp the sensor up in here for a second, and then if we measure, we put a measurement. We're getting a measurement on the multimeter there. Of 3.4 ohms resistance. And then if I put my finger on the end of the sensor, it's warming up now. You can see the resistance is dropping quite quickly. It's down to 3.3 as the resistance drops as it warms up. And if I take my fingers away, it should start to cool down, and it's rising back up again. Now, we didn't know what the ohm rating for this sensor would be, so we wouldn't have known what range it should have been in, but this multimeter senses it and sorts it out automatically for you. Really useful.